Hi everyone. I'm trying not to laugh because it's my third time trying to record this video. Thank you for joining me. My name is Selina. I'm based out of Las Vegas, Nevada. I'd like to do a new moon reading for you. This is a general reading, so I hope that you find at least a message that will help you either gain clarity or have some hope, or yeah. Let's see. So we have the new moon in Aries today. New moons are great for new beginnings, new creations, new perspectives, new clarity, everything new, creating, beginning a creation process. With it being in Aries, I feel like Aries is all about self-love, knowing oneself. Being responsible for oneself. It's also a fire sign, so it's very fiery energy, passionate, inspired. It's also very warrior-like. Can also be very explosive. I feel like this new moon is going to actually bring a lot of it's going to show us where we're feeling defeated. Conflict and defeat. It's going to show us where we're feeling beat down because we are in solitude, quarantine. But if you look, she's got a book in her hand. She's got a tower behind her and a star in the sky. What I see in here is learning about who you are and allowing your internal compass guide the way. The only way you can hear your internal compass is to become silent and still, which is hard for a lot of people. Is it hard to stay grounded right now? Is it hard to see your place and your purpose in this world? I get that. Truth. desire to have that truth, that universal truth. Oh, my ears are ringing. Do we desire to have that universal truth right now? What is the purpose? What is the purpose for what we're going through? What is the purpose for quarantine? What is the purpose for solitude? Why can't I go out and do something about it? Because you're not meant to. It feels like the universe really wants us to trust it right now. Have faith. Know that there is purpose. I don't remember if I shared this in my last video, but it was brought to my attention that instead of questioning why it's here, question what is the purpose, because their spirit wouldn't allow this manifestation if there were not a lesson attached to it. So what's the lesson? Slow down. Stop relying on instant gratification. Embrace those obstacles and those challenges. Even though it won't be easy, even though it's uncomfortable, even though it's uncertain, how is it that we find self-confidence? It doesn't matter how many times we fail. It doesn't matter how many times we win. It's that we did it in the first place, right? Rejoice in that celebration. Find joy in the fact that I got up and I did it today. I may not have done it perfectly, but I did it to the best of my ability today. And be okay with that. What else? What else would the universe like to tell us? Are we lonely? Are we feeling lonely? I know as a single mom, I used to work in a casino, and I used to say work was my adult time. It was my only time to connect with other adults. The rest of the time, I was with my children. Occasionally, I'd go out. But I feel like that daily interaction with other adults was my escape from motherhood. That's completely understandable if you're in the same situation. I mean, even now, kind of, it's my escape. What if we, in the solitude, created new ways and new ways of connecting to other people? Saturn moved into Aquarius. Thank goodness, kind of. But Aquarius is community, tribe, but it's also technology. So find new ways of connecting to people. Host a virtual party for all your Facebook friends. Host a watch party and watch movies together. You could even do drinking games. I don't know. Today feels filled with lots of energy, but also very flighty. So if a lot of you are having trouble feeling grounded, trying to plant your feet to the ground, that's totally understandable also. But if you're staying at home and you don't want to venture outside, don't want to go to the parks or even just go hiking on a back trail, try to find a way in the backyard or somewhere, even if it's a secluded area, just put your feet in the dirt. Or in some grass somewhere. It's this base chakra. Are some of you feeling unsure about who you are? What is it that I'm meant to do? I hear, okay, I get that I asked for this time off to do the things that I want to do, but now I'm just stuck in fear. How do I get out of it? How do I find my truth? Cards don't even want to come out with that question. I just remembered a passage in a book. You're not meant to find your truth. You're meant to create your truth. Create who you are. You get to start from scratch today. Who are you? Are you? Yes. You get to create who you are today. Judgment. It's all about transformation. It's all about transmutation. I was just talking to somebody about alchemy. We get to create who we are. We have free will. to choose who we get to be. If you don't like who you are, recreate it. You have that power. You have that ability. You can do that. That is your purpose here. Your purpose is to create. Remember who you are and recreate it. That probably sounds very woo-woo for some people. That's okay. As I said it kind of sounded woo-woo, but I believe it. I believe it because who was I? When I've always been spiritual. I've always believed in Jesus. I have a close connection to Jesus in spirit form, obviously. But going through the years, I've had different expansions, different levels of expansion. I've always sort of walked to the beat of my own drum. I was never really a crowd follower. I would skip school and get stoned. But at the same time, I would never be like disrespectful. I don't know where that's going. And then I was very tomboyish in high school. And then what did I do? I became a hairstylist. The most feminine. Toxic feminine, but feminine nonetheless. So I recreated myself as somebody who was more feminine. In my late 20s, I sort of lost touch with what I wanted to be. I started working in sales, just kind of going through life, working, taking care of my kids, not really having any passion. I think I played video games a lot. I gambled. I played poker a lot. I was in a relationship that didn't serve me at all, didn't make me happy. Yeah, I sort of gave up. And then in 2012, I really had my big spiritual awakening. Started over, recreated who I am. Was it easy? No. Was it worth it? Heck yeah. More than worth it. Would I do it again? Absolutely. Absolutely. So your truth. In order to recreate, sometimes we got to crumble. We got to go through those tower moments. Allow things to crumble and fall away. So that we can create who we want to be. We have that power in us to birth anew. And it's all on what you want to create. You have that power. You have that ability. The magic is within you. The power is within you. Will it be easy? No. Will you go through dark nights? Yes. Because sometimes the truth of who we were is not very pretty, and it's not always comfortable to look at. But we have the choice to see it, to Take responsibility for it. Own that it was us. Not beat ourselves up for it, not shame and guilt ourselves for it. And know that sometimes, in order to be the light, in order to know the light, in order to understand and embrace the light fully, we have to do the same with the darkness. Go through the darkness. Know that pain. Understand that pain. Understand, embrace that pain. Everything which is not love, which is not light. So instead of shaming yourself and regretting things of the past, things that you've done, be grateful for it, for it wouldn't have brought you where you are today. Obstacles and challenges. Move on. Know that you're not limited. You are not limited to who you are today. This energy, this anxiety, this turmoil, this chaos, this fear does not define you. This sadness, the underlying sadness under which you hold the happy face, that does not define you. If we can get grounded in love, if we can learn to love ourselves in every aspect of ourselves that we've known, the more you learn to love yourself in every aspect that you've known, the closer you will get to creating your whole truth. But it's not necessarily the end point, the destination that we want to get to, that matters. What matters is the in-between from here to there. That's where the adventure is. That's where the lessons come. That's how we learn to have compassion for ourselves and for other people. But whatever's in between here and there is definitely unknown. And that's uncomfortable. So most people don't ever take that first step. Rather than be consumed by the fear of the unknown, rejoice in every step. The first step is the most important step. If you can take that first step, the next step's not so scary. Okay, so I'm going to pull a blind spot oracle. This is by Teal, Swan. It's not the fluffiest deck. It's a little bit harsh, but oftentimes it'll show you where your blind spot is. What the part of you that's keeping you stuck. I don't know. There's many different parts in us. And each part has its own free will, has its own consciousness. So if one part wants to go that way, the other part wants to go that way, you're going to feel like you're being torn from the inside out. And you won't necessarily know why. This came out earlier. Transcendental escapism. But this came out with it this time, identification. Transcendental escapism is about using spiritual practice or transcendence as an escape mechanism. A lot of times our physical lives won't feel so good. And we won't necessarily know why. It's those different parts being torn from the inside out. But then using spiritual practice, whatever it may be, meditating, yoga, I don't feel like this is going to be for everyone, but for a lot of you. It isn't enough just to get still. There's a lot more work involved in finding your truth or knowing your truth or creating your truth. There's a lot more involved. So remember to stay grounded. Don't stay stuck up here. Don't stay stuck in the ethers. That won't help you right now. If during your quarantines you find yourself being triggered by the people that are around you, write those down in a journal. Write those experiences down in a journal rather than reacting to the people who cause the triggers. Write down those triggers and what they mean to you and how do they make you feel. How did they make you feel physically in your body? Did it feel like you got punched in the gut? Did it feel like you got smacked in the face? feel like you got stabbed in the heart, really pay attention to that. That'll help you discover the different parts within you, whether you know that or not. This other one here, identification. When it comes to working with the different parts of you, one part, there will be a part, but there will also be a polar opposite of that part. One you'll be identified with, the other one you won't necessarily have any knowledge of. This comes with shadow work or parts work. Sometimes we become identified with those parts that aren't necessarily us. They don't necessarily feel good. A lot of times we identify with the part of us which we feel like makes us good, or what we think will bring us love. But somewhere inside, we know that's not our authentic truth. Let's see. Identification. You're currently so identified with something that you cannot separate yourself from that thing enough to be objective or conscious about it. Identity is a condition of being oneself, one separate self. Another word for this is ego. Whenever we associate with ourself, we identify with it. It becomes part of us. We make it the same as us. This is what attachment really is. It is identification. And that thing we identify with is, and if that thing we identify with is ever threatened, we experience it as a threat to our own survival. One could argue that identification is a good thing when we identify with the things that cause us to feel good. But the thing is, the minute we identify with something that causes us to feel good, it contains within it the seeds of its own opposite. Worthiness carries the seeds of unworthiness. Excitement carries the seeds of disappointment. Far more troubling, however, is that when we often identify with the things that cause us to feel bad, and as such, we must keep those things alive in order to keep our own sense of self alive. When it comes to identification, it is not only things external to us that cause us suffering. It is also identification with things that we perceive to be internal to us. We are the most identified with three primary aspects of ourselves: our body, our mind, and our emotions. Each of these three aspects is inherently a different expression of source consciousness. We mistake these expressions to be the totality of who we are, a bit like a painter who has become so identified with his painting that he has forgotten that who he ultimately is more than his painting. We think we are our emotions, we are our body, we are our thoughts. In truth, you could disidentify with just about everything. Disidentify with just about anything. To disidentify with something, you must first identify it as different from yourself. You must see it as other than you. For example, if you would like to disidentify from your own pain, all you must do is conceptualize of your pain as a separate entity. Let me start over on that one. For example, if you would like to disidentify from your own pain, all you must do is to conceptualize of your own pain as a separate entity, and when you experience pain, observe the pain as if you were watching the separate entity reacting. In this way, you do not take the pain personally. Yeah. So who you are today, who you feel you are today, is not all of you. You can recreate. You can create anew. You could discover all the parts of you that are unknown, and you might even like those parts better. All right, let's pull an oracle card. This is my Moonology deck. In honor of the new moon. Nothing is yet set in stone. You are not set in stone. You don't need to be. If you don't like yourself, if there's parts of you that you don't like, you don't need to identify with them. They aren't who define you. You decide your truth. Don't let your past hold you back. We all have a past, and we all have done things that we're not proud of. We've all acted in ways that we're not proud of. But the cool thing is that stuff is in the past, and we can embrace it, accept it, that it was us, embrace the lessons that we learned from it, know that it does not define us, and know that in those moments it was Source showing us who we don't want to be. And we can create the opposite. Sounds simple, I know. But I hope this has been helpful. I'll put all my stuff in the description below. I didn't do that in my last video, but you know, better late than never. I'm available for personal readings. That will be below, Facebook and Instagram. If you like my video, like and subscribe. Thank you all for watching. Thank you for taking the time to watch. I hope you have a wonderful day. If you want to do anything special for the new moon, write down what it is that you want to create. Fold it up, burn it if you can, and allow the smoke to bring it out to the universe. I love you all. Bye.